Hello, world. I'm Scott, or as I affectionately call myself, the bitter old queen. So, I am not a therapist or a professional of any type. My stories are anecdotal only, okay? And I suggest you watch this in 1.25 speed because I talk like an old man. Yeah. Anyway, in this video, I'm going to talk about me never having a smartphone, okay? Um, because of vision issues, which are Fuchs dystrophy and cataracts in the end here. But in the beginning, it wasn't that. So, but yeah, you heard me right. I have never had a smartphone. So, I had some of the earliest cell phones in the late 90s, and I wish I would have saved one because it would be funny now to see what they look like. It wasn't a brick phone or anything like that, but compared to what it was now, and you had to leave it charged, you had to leave it plugged in constantly, and I don't even think you got 2 hours of airtime. You know what I mean? It was ridiculous. Um, but kept having cell phones up until about 2005. And I was in Macy's one day, and they had this unbelievable deal at T-Mobile, and my contract was up, so I signed up for like a 2-year contract, got locked into it. Great price, but what I didn't know was analog was going out and the digital was coming in and smartphones. So I was locked in a 2-year contract while I watched everyone else around me get a smartphone. So now that wasn't Dennis went and got one so I could use his a little bit and everything, and I wasn't all that impressed. I thought it was really a big time suck. And then I really started to not like it. Okay. Um, when analog shut down in 2008, my cell phone had been gone for about a year, and I decided I wasn't going to get a smartphone. Didn't like what it had done to people. It was really awful. So, and I craved my privacy. I didn't want Dennis even putting my pictures on Facebook, and I just like stopped. So um, my friends even and family, everybody, they started becoming annoying and wanting to text all the time. Nobody wanted to talk on the phone anymore. Nobody even wanted to email. And everything, if anything more than a 5-word text was considered rude. And this has been for a long time now. So, and then you go out to dinner with friends and they couldn't take their eyes off their cell phone. It got to the point where, even when I had my old cell phone, it was texting by that kind of texting. If you old people remember that stuff, I'd go in the bathroom and forget my cell phone, and they'd be blowing up my instant messenger, my landline, and my cell phone, and here it's like people, and it was about nothing. I was just, anyway, I've lived in New York for all these years, and we have this thing, elevator conversation, okay? And my building, everybody in the building is just delightful. They're all polite. They'll hold the door. How are you? Nice, it's nice to see you. The only thing people talk about is the weather or something, building related or something like that. People are not nosy, and that's what I wanted in my life too. I said, look, listen. So anyway, recently I'm in the elevator and there are 3 people in there and they're all on their cell phones, and you would have swear that one was solving world hunger, one was solving world peace, and the other one had cured cancer because they were just so intent on this stuff. And meanwhile, I know what they're doing. It's probably nothing. So anyway, I sat back and I watched this happen, and it was like 1984. But people were holding the TV in their hand instead of it being on the walls and not being able to get it. No, they were walking around, willingly walking around with it in their hands, being brainwashed. And I just watched people turn into, well, anyway. And I also think that this has helped to erode the moral values in this country, like honesty and things like that, and not lying and things like that. So. And I think the cell phone helped this along because it was weaponized. So there's been a lot of good that's come from the tech. So, but anyway, Dennis, I used to use this occasionally, um, but I would only use YouTube. I would get on the computer and use YouTube, and that's all I cared about. And I swear, if scientists wanted to look at my brain, because I don't have any cell phone, smartphone stuff in it, it might be my brain waves might be different than other people's. I don't know. So, but I realized that about 7 or 8 years ago, we were on a trip, and I was trying to use the cell phone for directions, and I couldn't see it. and it was the contrast, and it was terrible because I know how to read maps. I love reading maps and stuff. And well, anyway, I blew it off though, and I said, well, it's just my presbyopia. It was the light. It was my glasses. And then it started. All of a sudden, I realized on the computer it was just too bright, too bright. I would have to, brighten it down to two, and I thought this isn't normal. So I finally went in and found out what it was. It was a double whammy of cataracts and Fuchs. Fuchs, cataracts is like a cloudy thing in front of your eyes, that you all know what that is, right? But Fuchs is the thing where it's the lining of the back of the cornea, which normally pumps water in and out, properly. Mine doesn't work properly, and it's like dying off. As it dies off, the water doesn't work right, but it also is like leaving little holes where more light gets through and more light gets through and more light gets through as the lining dies. So everything is just extremely bright to me all the time. It's really anyway. You see me, I'm rubbing my eyes, and a lot of times I look like I'm all wet around my eyes, and that's just because the osmosis of the pressure. There's too much water in my eyes, and it makes me look all wet all the time. Anyway, and you see me rubbing my eyes a lot. So, but that's what it is. So, it started with there wasn't enough light, then it was too much, and then brighter, brighter, brighter. I get halos around everything, around people, especially if the light, everything depends on the light. So, and the other thing too is it's like I have a sheer curtain in front of me, and the brighter the light, the thicker the sheer. If it's real dark, I can hardly see the sheer at all. But the bright, it makes the sheer like appear, the brighter. Anyways, the worst symptom though is I get nauseous. Even in my own apartment here, one day my sister was here and I put all the shades up and I'm sitting in the living room and about a half an hour later I said, I can't take it. And I had to go put shades down because it was making me nauseous. So I have to wear dark glasses when I go out and stuff like that. And if I get too much, I have to, it hurts, of course. I get terrible headaches and then I have to lay down. It's the only cure for it, take a couple aspirin and lay down. So, and I know my lighting sucks for this stuff. It's the best I can do right now. And when this is done, I turn everything off immediately. I shut the shades and everything because the shades are all up and everything. So much light I can hardly stand it. So, but anyway, this is what it's all about. No cell phone, and even now that I want one, I can't even have one, and I can't wait till my eyes are fixed because hopefully next summer they can fix it, and I'll by say the beginning of 2027, I'll have perfect vision back. I won't need reading glasses or anything, and I'll be all set to go. So if that explains a lot. I know it sounds weird, but it is what it is. So. To, now it's time for my daily proclamation. It's a song I would love everyone to listen to. It's called La Vie En Rosa. It's by Grace Jones. She did it in like 1978, 79. It came out. I saw it late one night on the urban station we lived in suburban Philly. So I saw it on this thing late one night. And it was like, when I saw it, I said, oh my God, I'm gay. I am definitely gay. So uh, anyway. I'd love for you to enjoy it. It's in French, okay? So it's a little culture here, okay? And it was originally done by Edith Piaf in 1947. Of course, Grace Jones kind of disco-fied it in French. There's a little French influence and disco influence. So, and she sings it in French. So anyway, it's a gorgeous song. It was also covered in the 50s by Bing Crosby, Dean Martin, and even Louis Armstrong. There were several other ones that covered this song in the 50s. So um, I put the lyrics in the description that the French translated to English. The English versions of the songs, the lyrics are not the same. They completely changed the lyrics. But so these are the original French lyrics that song was made in. So anyway, um, please, I added some pics in my posts of me and my partner and our cat and stuff. So please check it out in the post section. And please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that kind of stuff. And thank you for coming to court. You have been dismissed.